How did we agree to that? Does that feel crazy to you? Writers can now help out specific teams. We have to start at the beginning. I know that's kind of a confusing statement, so let's break that down a little bit. I'll show you what I mean. We have a new thing called award incentives that was put into the 2021 CBA. It is the pre-arb pool, which if you guys remember during the lockout, we were all arguing with each other. We wanted $250 million. They wanted to put like $12 in, and then we ended up meeting nowhere near the middle, and then the owners won by a lot. How do writers have so much power over contract incentives? Let me explain that. The pre-arb pool, a pool of money that is distributed to award winners and is based on WAR. This is for people who are between 0 and 3 years of service time. They are not in arbitration yet. That is phase 2 of your career. Free agency is phase 3. So you're in phase 1 of your career. In 2022, MLB expected to distribute $10 million to award winners and $37 million based on WAR.
What's 9 plus 10?
$37 million.
You stupid.
Basically, the top WAR getters, I don't know which WAR they use, frankly. It's probably some other third-party MLB's version to make it a little bit lower, but you get paid based on the amount of WAR you are in addition to your salary, which is nice. It gets younger guys paid earlier. So the pre-arb pool is cool. I think that's a good idea. It's a good way to get young guys paid a little bit earlier for their contribution to the team. So you can't just pay a guy minimum wage and have him be your best player. Gunnar Henderson received the largest amount in season's $50 million pre-arb pool. This is this year because he's so good. Bobby Witt Jr. would get $12 million. He's on a contract. I think this goes away. He's not eligible for this anymore, but he would be paid an extra $1.2 million on top of his salary had he been continued to make the minor league or the minimum wage. Well, actually, never mind. If they never reach ARB age, and they're still 0 to 3, so they get it even if they're on a salary. That's awesome. This is it's basically a bonus on top of their salary. And then if you win like Rookie of the Year, you get an additional amount of money. So you can win both. So this is all really cool, right? This is how much value added. Here's your bonus. I like this, okay? So that's not what I'm talking about, but that is one of the things that goes in. Then we have the All-Star Game. There's bonuses for the All-Star Game. This applies to the young guys, right? The winning team receives a $25,000 prize. If you get mic'd up $10,000, you get food benefit, and you get $1,000 in spending cash. And then there's also bonuses built into, like I had one right with the A's. Had I made an All-Star team, I think I would have made 50 grand. Cool. That's sick, right? That's cool. But that's an interesting one because fans can vote you in and then you get your incentives even if you didn't really deserve to. So that's one thing where it's not quite performance-based and you get some money. Technically, it could be manipulated if it's done right, but it's not easy to do. But then we get to the final one, the PPI, Player Promotion Incentives. Now, this is the one that's interesting and a lot of people don't know about. And when we were negotiating, we were talking through the CBA, this was an oversight. We did not think about this very well. And I didn't notice it until someone mentioned to me recently. So I didn't know if I didn't notice it. Promotion incentives, a program that rewards teams for promoting their best prospects to the league. So if you notice, a program that rewards teams, not players, teams, the organizations for promoting their best prospects to the big leagues. Now, the best prospects coming up is good for the players. Teams can also earn a draft pick after the first round of a PPI eligible player. Accrues 1 year of service as a rookie. If you bring up a young guy and he gets a full year, you could get a draft pick. Factors into a major award, meaning if the rookie wins MVP or Rookie of the Year, then the team gets a draft pick. Places in the top 3 MVP Cy Young voting prior to qualifying for arbitration. The team gets a draft pick. These last 3 are heavily influenced by writer sentiment. Should this be the case? So this is what I want to ask you guys. The Rookie of the Year, the Cy Young, and the MVP, these things are voted on by writers. And writers can vote for a guy to get Rookie of the Year. And then if that guy gets the Rookie of the Year and he's been up all year, then that team gets an additional draft pick.
You cheated me in the draft order. No. And you thought you could outsmart Ruxin.
If you think about it, it'd be very easy to get writers to all get together on something and get a team a draft pick. Is that crazy? Does that feel crazy to you? Now, I'm not insinuating that anyone is doing that. There's not really a lot of incentive to do it, right, for writers. Like, I think writers are fine. I like that they vote on stuff and that they have it's an outside perspective. They watch more objectively than people in the game. They really do. But the fact that it gets a team a draft pick, how did the players, and now I'm thinking about it, how did we agree to that? Like, how did we say, oh yeah, the riders choose those things and that'll give some teams draft picks and other teams not draft picks? That's crazy. Now I know there's the incentive to bring the guy up. That's what we wanted, and that's probably what blinding us to it. But again, I don't think we thought about how these awards are chosen very well, or at least maybe factoring in the idea like maybe it's more of a balanced choosing of these awards as opposed to just being riders. I don't think a rider would. No, I agree, but again, those are just like. We're just guessing. We're just saying, yeah, it'll probably be fine, but there's really no rule. There's nothing stopping it from happening. So like over time, which that's what happens. The longer things like this exist, the more likely they are to be abused because it becomes normalized. Just think about like lobbying in politics. If you really think about it just objectively, you're like, how does this make any sense? When it was first introduced, people were like, dude, we can't have this because it's going to turn into this thing. And then we're like, probably not. It'll probably be fine. And then it isn't. You know, it's not saying that anyone's evil or not evil. It's just saying that's what humans do. We find advantages. Base pitchers are doing it. Where the adjustments to finding an advantage in the game, like people are going to find an advantage. Teams are going to figure out ways to get advantages in games, advantages in draft, the advantages in free agency. Like everyone's trying to get advantages. Like it's a competitive thing. So yeah, of course. It's kind of leaving that door open, which is interesting to me. But that said, I still trust riders. I think it's fine. Like, I think they're going to be fine. I don't think they want to do it. I don't think they want this power either. The riders probably won't manipulate it intentionally, but it does take the existing bias and stake something important on it. Yes. And then you know, like, I don't think like a team's going to be like, hey man, we'll give you some money if you vote this way. But I can see teams putting out narratives, people creating narratives on their own to get their guy voted for, pushing it really heavy because it's going to end up getting them a draft pick. And then that could be influential. What it'll be is indirect, but teams will do that. Just pay attention, guys, as this goes on. I'm going to call this right now. In the next few years, teams with guys they've had up all year that are like in the running for the rookie of the year, don't be surprised if that narrative gets talked about more and more and more and more by those teams. They maybe do a little bit of promotion. They do a little bit of like, they really hype this guy up to try to get him voted in. See if you notice an uptick in that. It might not happen. It could just be just such a little thing that never happens, but it's possible. And that would be an example of trying to get an advantage because it's sports and that's what you do. So like rookie of the year like this year, right? Does Merrill or Skeens take it? So I think Jackson Merrill's going to get it because San Diego will get a draft pick. That's the interesting thing. Let's use that as an example. Paul Skeens, Jackson Merrill. Jackson Merrill's been up all year and he's arguably been more valuable. But one of them becomes rookie of the year, the other one doesn't. So if Skeens wins, the Pirates don't get a draft pick. If Merrill wins, they do get a draft pick. That's a little bit of an extra incentive, just a tiny bit. This is a mechanic it's coming into play for the first time kind of this year because Jackson Merrill's in that conversation. Colin Cowser on the other side, same thing. He's been up all year. Colin Cowser has. To wrap this kind of whole thing up, riders technically could collude. I don't think they will. I got to be very clear about this. I don't think they will. Ken Rosenthal is the one who talked about this with us on Foul Territory. He got really into the weeds on it. And I am with him in that, like, riders don't want this power. It's not like they lobbied for it. It's not like they want it. It's hard enough to make your case for the choices you make, right? To have this kind of be another thing they have to kind of rationalize sucks for them. I don't think they're going to do this stuff. I'm just saying it's possible now. And it's something that I didn't notice was possible until recently, which is interesting to me. A lot of people don't know about PPI, which is so fucking funny because it's called PPI. It kind of has that same feeling as PPI loans during COVID, which is so funny to me. And just because PPI loans were notoriously abused and entitlements given to business owners who were worried about losing income when they just pocketed it. PPP. Sorry, not PPI. Yes, PPP. It's close. I knew it was something else.
You stupid.